There comes a moment in every life when words lose their value, not because language becomes weak, but because people stop deserving it. Most individuals believe that intelligence reveals itself through endless explanations, fierce debates, and constant attempts to prove oneself right. They mistake noise for strength and argument for courage. Yet the deepest minds eventually discover a truth that is both liberating and unsettling. Not every battle deserves a soldier, and not every audience deserves a performance. The loudest people often crave attention more than understanding. They feed on conflict because conflict keeps them visible. They mistake resistance for importance and assume that anyone who refuses to answer has been defeated. But silence is rarely surrender. More often, it is the highest expression of self-control. It is the decision to stop pouring priceless energy into places where nothing meaningful can grow. Observe how people react when someone refuses to argue. They become restless. They demand explanations. They invent stories to fill the empty space left behind. This happens because silence denies them the emotional reward they were seeking. A person expecting a fight cannot understand someone who chooses peace. To those addicted to chaos, calmness appears suspicious. To those obsessed with dominance, restraint looks like weakness. The average person fears being misunderstood. Because of this fear, they explain themselves repeatedly, hoping that one more sentence will finally earn approval. They spend years defending their intentions before people who never intended to understand them in the first place. Their lives become endless courtrooms, where they serve as both defendant and lawyer, pleading for acceptance from judges whose verdict was decided long ago. The intelligent person recognizes this trap. They understand that misunderstanding is not always a failure of communication. Sometimes it is a deliberate choice made by another person. Some individuals hear only what protects their pride. Others twist every sentence until it confirms their prejudice. Against such minds, logic becomes useless. Reason cannot enter a room whose doors were locked from the inside. There is a dangerous illusion that everyone deserves access to your thoughts. Society teaches that openness is always virtuous and transparency is always noble. But wisdom teaches something different. Every valuable thing in existence is protected. Precious stones remain buried beneath mountains. Rare books are locked inside libraries. Great works of art are preserved behind glass. Yet people are encouraged to expose their deepest convictions to strangers who have done nothing to earn them. Not everyone deserves your explanation, because not everyone values truth. Some collect your words only to weaponize them later. Others ask questions not to learn, but to discover where to attack. They disguise curiosity as kindness, while secretly searching for weaknesses. The intelligent mind eventually notices this pattern. Instead of becoming bitter, it becomes selective. Walking away in silence is not avoidance. It is discrimination. Just as a gardener removes weeds to protect flowers, a thoughtful person removes unnecessary conflict to protect inner clarity. Every conversation has a cost. Every argument consumes attention. Every emotional struggle steals hours that can never be recovered. The truly wise calculate these invisible expenses before opening their mouths. People admire discipline in athletes because they understand the sacrifice behind physical excellence. Yet few recognize intellectual discipline. It takes extraordinary strength to remain silent when insulted. It requires immense confidence to watch false accusations drift through the air without chasing every one of them. Most people react instantly because their emotions control them. The intelligent respond only after asking one simple question: will this matter tomorrow? Most conflicts fail this test. Human beings possess a peculiar addiction to being right. Entire friendships collapse because neither side wishes to surrender a single opinion. Families divide over trivial disagreements. Careers are destroyed by wounded egos disguised as principles. Behind many noble arguments hides a primitive desire, the desire to dominate. The intelligent person eventually realizes that winning an argument often means losing something more valuable. Peace disappears, respect fades, relationships become competitions instead of connections. Victory tastes strangely hollow when purchased with endless exhaustion. There exists a profound difference between intelligence and cleverness. Cleverness seeks applause. Intelligence seeks understanding. Cleverness enjoys displaying superiority. Intelligence has no interest in unnecessary demonstrations. The clever person cannot resist correcting everyone. The intelligent person understands that truth survives even without applause. Consider how mountains stand through centuries without defending their greatness. Rivers never argue about their direction. The sun does not negotiate with darkness before rising each morning. Nature accomplishes everything through quiet certainty. Only insecure beings constantly announce their importance. This explains why those with the strongest foundations often appear the least interested in proving themselves. They know that genuine value requires no advertisement. A diamond remains precious, whether admired or ignored. Likewise, wisdom loses nothing when misunderstood by the crowd. The desire to be understood by everyone is one of humanity's greatest chains. It forces people to shrink their complexity into simple slogans. It encourages conformity, because difference invites criticism. Yet every extraordinary individual eventually accepts loneliness as the price of authenticity. The crowd rewards familiarity, not originality. It celebrates echoes more readily than new voices. Whenever someone thinks independently, discomfort spreads among those who built their identities upon imitation. Instead of questioning themselves, they question the independent thinker. Instead of examining uncomfortable truths, they attack the messenger. Many intelligent individuals spend years believing they must convince others. They collect evidence. They refine arguments. They speak with patience. They answer every objection. Then one day they encounter an undeniable reality. Facts rarely change minds already protected by pride. Information cannot transform someone emotionally committed to ignorance. This realization changes everything. Instead of speaking more, they begin speaking less. Instead of chasing agreement, they pursue understanding within themselves. Instead of correcting every falsehood, they preserve their strength for meaningful action. From the outside, this transformation appears mysterious. Friends accuse them of becoming distant. Critics interpret silence as fear. Enemies celebrate imagined victories, yet none recognize what truly happened. The intelligent person simply graduated from a game whose rewards were never worth winning. Every conversation reveals more about the listener than the speaker. Some hear wisdom and feel inspired. Others hear the same words and feel threatened. The difference lies not in the message, but in the condition of the mind receiving it. Rain nourishes fertile soil, while running uselessly across stone. Therefore, intelligent people stop measuring themselves by reactions. Praise becomes as unreliable as criticism. Both originate in minds shaped by experiences beyond one's control. Depending upon external approval means handing strangers authority over your emotional state. Freedom begins where this dependence ends. Silence becomes the fortress where independence grows. Inside that fortress, thoughts mature without interruption. Ideas develop without immediate judgment. Character strengthens because it is no longer built upon applause. Solitude ceases to resemble isolation and instead becomes refinement. Many fear silence because it confronts them with themselves. Noise offers escape. Endless conversations distract from unanswered questions. Constant entertainment numbs uncomfortable truths. But silence strips away every disguise. It reveals whether your life possesses genuine meaning or merely constant activity. The intelligent person embraces this discomfort because growth has always required honest confrontation. They would rather endure temporary loneliness than permanent self-deception. There is another reason they walk away quietly. Revenge rarely improves the person seeking it. Hatred binds you to those you claim to despise. Every hour spent imagining someone else's failure becomes an hour stolen from your own potential. The intelligent mind understands that obsession, whether positive or negative, still grants power to its object. Walking away breaks that invisible chain. It declares that your future deserves more attention than someone else's mistakes. Most people imagine power as the ability to control others. They dream of influencing opinions, commanding respect, and defeating opponents. But the highest form of power has nothing to do with domination. It is mastery over oneself. Whoever governs their own reactions possesses a freedom unavailable to those forever controlled by circumstances. Insults lose their force when ignored. Manipulation fails when unrecognized. Provocation dies without participation. These are victories invisible to spectators, but invaluable to the individual. Society often mistakes emotional restraint for emotional absence. This misunderstanding causes countless intelligent people to appear cold. In reality, they feel deeply. They simply refuse to let every emotion become public property. They understand that feelings deserve reflection before expression. An uncontrolled emotion resembles fire released into dry forests. It spreads rapidly, destroys indiscriminately, and leaves regret behind. A disciplined emotion resembles fire contained within a furnace. It creates warmth, power, and purpose. The same passion that ruins one life can build another, depending entirely upon discipline. People frequently ask why thoughtful individuals seem difficult to know. The answer is simple. Experience has taught them that trust should be earned gradually. They have watched confidence betrayed, generosity exploited, and vulnerability mocked. Instead of becoming cynical, they become careful. Carefulness is often mistaken for arrogance. Selectivity is mistaken for pride. Silence is mistaken for emptiness. These misunderstandings no longer trouble them because they recognize an uncomfortable law of existence. People interpret others according to their own character. The dishonest suspect deception everywhere. The jealous imagine hidden motives behind every success. The insecure perceive confidence as arrogance. No explanation can permanently correct these projections. Eventually, wisdom accepts that reputation lives largely beyond personal control. You cannot manage every opinion. You cannot silence every rumor. You cannot persuade every critic. But you can govern your conduct. Character remains yours, even when reputation belongs to the crowd. This distinction liberates the intelligent person from endless performance. Instead of chasing appearances, they cultivate substance. Instead of collecting admirers, they build integrity. Instead of demanding recognition, they pursue excellence. Ironically, this very refusal often attracts the respect they never sought. People instinctively recognize those who are no longer begging for validation. Quiet confidence unsettles a world accustomed to loud insecurity. The person who needs nothing from the room becomes impossible to manipulate within it. Walking away also reflects an understanding of time. Time is the only possession that cannot be restored once spent. Money returns. Health sometimes improves. Relationships occasionally heal. But one wasted afternoon disappears forever into history. Imagine exchanging pieces of your life for meaningless arguments. Imagine sacrificing years defending yourself against people committed to misunderstanding you. Imagine reaching old age only to discover that your greatest achievements were winning conversations no one remembers. The intelligent refuse this bargain. They protect time with the same intensity others protect wealth. Their silence becomes an investment. Their absence becomes a declaration. Their departure becomes an affirmation that life contains higher purposes than endless conflict. This does not mean they fear confrontation. On the contrary, when principle truly demands action, they stand with remarkable courage. But they distinguish between necessary battles and ego-driven distractions. This distinction separates wisdom from impulsiveness. Anyone can shout. Anyone can react. Anyone can retaliate. Very few can remain composed while every instinct demands immediate response. That composure is not weakness. It is victory over the oldest enemy within every human being, the uncontrolled self. In the end, intelligent people walk away in silence because they have discovered something the world spends a lifetime trying to avoid. Peace is not found by changing everyone around you. It is found by refusing to become like those who thrive on conflict. Freedom is not achieved by defeating every opponent. It is achieved by no longer needing opponents to define your worth. When they leave without explanation, they are not asking to be followed. When they remain silent, they are not searching for attention. When they disappear from unnecessary conflict, they are not admitting defeat. They are choosing a life where dignity speaks louder than arguments, where discipline outweighs emotion, where purpose replaces pride, and where inner sovereignty becomes more valuable than public approval. The world will misunderstand this choice because the world often mistakes stillness for emptiness and silence for surrender. But those who truly understand know a deeper truth. The strongest departure is the one that requires no announcement. The greatest answer is often no answer at all. And the highest form of intelligence is not found in saying the perfect final word, but in recognizing that some conversations were never worthy of your voice.